Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. This is Dr. Jennifer Jones, Board President. First item on the agenda is roll call. Scholar Representative Yanda Toledo, will you start?
Yando Baron Toledo, Scholar Representative to the Board, Senior at Federal Way High School.
Okay, yeah. Joan Murphy, Director, District Number 5.
Lakeisha Phillips, Director, District 3.
Jennifer Jones, Director, District 2.
Quentin Morris, Director, District 1.
Trudy Davis, Director, District 4.
Annie Pfeiffer, Superintendent. And if we could just have a reminder that when you're not mic, if you could please shut your mic off, then we won't get the feedback. Thank you so much.
Next is a presentation of colors by the Todd Beamer High School JROTC. Please rise if you're able. You may now be seated. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting agenda. At this time, we'll entertain a motion.
I move the Board of Education approve the meeting agenda of October 14th, 2025 as submitted.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the required approvals agenda. At this time, we'll entertain a motion.
I move that the Board of Education approve the required approvals agenda of October 14, 2025 as submitted.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is school welcome, Brigadoon Elementary School. Dr. Pfeiffer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jones. I'm so excited to be here at Brigadoon Elementary this evening. Home of the, give me some help, cheetah, bobcats, tigers. Okay, all right. Ferocious tigers. So I don't know my cats. I was trying to discern from some like clues. So I want to thank the staff and the students for hosting us, and I'm glad to invite up to the podium Principal Vicki Lopez. She's going to do our school welcome for us this evening. She's going to highlight the strengths and opportunities for growth here at Brigadoon. So Principal Lopez.
Wow. Thank you. Good evening, Board President, Dr. Jones, members of the board, Superintendent, Dr. Pfeiffer, scholar representatives to the board, families, and scholars. I am the proud principal here at Brigadoon Elementary, and I am starting my 7th year. And I couldn't be more excited to share the work that we've been continuing to do. So our theme this year is Don't Stop Believing. Last year, we put a lot of systems in place, and this year we're going to keep capitalizing on all that hard work. We serve 385 scholars in preschool through 5th grade. We have classroom structures that include our developmental and ECAP preschools, general education, as well as our academic core. Our signature strategies really focus on managing and progress monitoring students' success, both academically and socially, emotionally. This has been a big part of our programming with our Tier 2, which is our skill-based groups. And there's some examples on the screen there. These are tracked in 6-week cycles so that we can make sure that all of our scholars are learning to the best of their ability. Then we have scholar safety and belonging. We've been working on this a lot, and we are hoping to build up some of our family and community participation this year. Some of the structures we still have in place are the attendance incentives, our scholar advisory, regulation stations and buddy classrooms, and student of the month and character traits. Our attendance incentives are a variety of things, all the way from classroom leveled rewards to attendance rewards that are just randomly like, this is the day, and if you're here, you get to celebrate. Those are kind of fun because it keeps kiddos guessing as to when they're going to be honored and celebrated. Our scholar advisory, I'll talk a little bit more in just a minute on the next slide. Our regulation stations and our buddy classrooms are safe spaces within each environmental space on campus so that we're not trying to exit and leave our classroom safe spaces if we need breaks from our academic or social emotional load, cognitive load. And so those are in every space on campus. And then our student of the month, that's been a staple since I've been here. And we really have built that into our attendance announcements to include our attendance. And we've talked about that at Scholar Advisory as well. So learning successes, some of our past successes from this last year, third grade math SBA was at a 51%. It's the highest it's been since I've been here. Fourth grade ELA SBA was at 44%. Highest major growth on our WIDA to date was at 86%. Those are our scholars that are learning English as a second language and have mastered that in a way that has deemed them proficient in both. And then 78 scholars started the year at or above grade level in iReady reading, which is the highest raw number of students to date that we've started the year with. We usually see a little bit of slide, and we didn't see it this year, so I'm excited to see how much further we can gain in our success, knowing that we're starting a little bit higher in proficiency. Hearing from our community, we have several events that we have. Families have told us that they want more opportunities to participate on campus and with each other. One of the things that we had last year that was a huge success, we had a couple of events. The math night was a huge success, and it was, again, because families got to participate with each other and really get into the work and have fun. Also, our multicultural night was a big success because, again, it is families connecting with other families and just building that supportive community, knowing we are all here to provide the best learning environments for our kiddos. So we're working on building more of our events to have more of that dynamic where families are interacting with each other. They're learning about what we're teaching on campus. We're celebrating the diversity and the talents that all of our families and our students bring. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds this year. With our scholar advisors, it is across all K through 5th. They love setting their own goals. So we will make sure that that happens for both reading and math. We have noticed and we can track that students learn faster when they are setting their own goals because they're learning what they think is important to make it to the next step. Students like to have learning that is specific to them, differentiated. They understand when things are too easy or too hard, and they have been very vocal about making sure that we have just right instruction for all of our kiddos. That comes back to the Tier 2 skill groups. That provides the extra for those that already have it. That provides the extra reteach for those that need a little more time. Students do their best when they turn and talk, so talking to each other versus having us talk at them. And, you know, sometimes they see things from a different perspective, which is always lovely to hear and be a participate in when they're talking about their content. And then students love Spirit Week. We always have Spirit Week once a month, and it's a highlight here at Brigadoon. It's one of those fun things. I'm gonna turn the mic over now to our Scholar Showcase. It is our 5th grade. They have created I Am poems This is connected to the lessons taught about identity and diversity. We're going to explore their names, culture, and traditions and appreciate them for their uniqueness. Originally, we were going to have a bit bigger of a group, and so they were going to read their favorite line out of their poem to indicate that we are a Brigadoon community, we are Brigadoon scholars, and we all come with wonderful talents and unique traits. It's a smaller group, so they're going to just read their own poem for you. And I have a fifth grader in the audience that was not really wanting to read his own, but he was okay with me reading it. So this is his, and if he wants to stand up, he can. His reads, I am from Washington. I am from a mom that loves me. I am from a family that has 7 sisters. I am from a home, me pizza and spicy food. I am from always trying my best. I am Michael. Stop. All right. And now I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the scholars. I didn't realize that their name is actually at the end. So we had initially said, introduce yourselves, but maybe just say, hey, I'm a proud 5th grade student, and here's my I am. Then you tell them at the end. Okay. You can put a line over in. It should be on. Yep.
I am from the land of the free. I am from a small but loving family. I am from a fuzzy and cuddly cat. I am from a busy but beautiful mother. I am from a flying father. I am from that 1 month when the trees stand tall in houses and shiny ornaments hang from the branches. I am from kind and funny people who call me a friend. I am a leap across the floor. I am an amazing and unique name. I am from branches that reach out far across the world. I am that one weird girl they call Gelia.
Podium if you want, but people wanted pictures.
I am from a country where the climate is in reverse. I am born in the month when cotton candy falls from the sky. I am from funny and caring friends who are there for me. I am a girl who loves math and science. I am someone who enjoys winter breeze and summer air. I am a girl with creativity and fashion. I am just a girl who loves corgis. I am an innocent but clever girl. I am a daughter of someone with 16 siblings. I am unperfect, but I am that one chaotic girl who they call Sophia.
Ready?
I am sincere. I am from the place that the rain falls. I am the angel that spreads laughter and joy. I am the art piece that is made by a loving creator. I am made from the chicken and rice cooked perfectly. I am the one who learns with happiness and joy. I was born the month where you get a trick or treat. I'm the one they call the funny one, named Sincere.
You ready?
I am from the sun that shines in the sky. I am from a big family and a loving mom and dad. By me.
And that is only part of our 5th grade and our Brigadoon family. So welcome.
Thank you so much for that welcome, and those I am poems were amazing. Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is Schools Can't Do It Alone. Dr. Pfeiffer.
Thank you, Board President. We're lucky to have Federal Way Public Schools in our community, outstanding community partners that consistently support our schools and most importantly, our students. This evening, we're here honoring one of those partners. And Jessica Morgan, our Chief of Communications, will introduce them so that they can be recognized and celebrated.
Good evening, Board President Dr. Jones, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Pfeiffer, and scholar representatives to the board. Now more than ever, schools can't do it alone, and we would like to share our appreciation for the contribution made by the following organization for the benefit of scholars in our district. Thank you to the City of Federal Way Diversity Commission for their generous donation of books to our school libraries. The commission identified 15 titles that celebrate resilience and belonging and donated 1 copy of each to every elementary school across the district. These books reflect the unique experiences of our scholars and help foster understanding, empathy, and belonging in our classrooms. If you are here today, please come forward to be recognized and join us for a photo.
Congratulations to our Employment and Transition Program scholars on completing the 4th year of the Ability Awareness Video Series, created in partnership with the KBTC Public Television and Federal Way Public Schools. Scholars and staff, if you're here today, please come forward to be recognized. As they're coming up, I'll let you know that this series has now grown to 12 videos featuring our scholars as they share their voices and perspectives on topics such as self-care, social skills, and career awareness. The videos showcase the talents and accomplishments of our scholars while helping build greater awareness, respect, and inclusion across our community. Congratulations, everyone. We are FWPS proud of your accomplishment. In Federal Way Public Schools, incorporating student voice is central to informing the work of serving each one of our 21,000 scholars. Our scholar representatives to the board play a key role in sharing student perspectives and providing meaningful input on district operations, ensuring decisions reflect the experiences and needs of our scholars. We're proud to welcome back our returning representatives who will continue their service as the 2025-26 scholar representatives to the board. There are Sophia Majors, Izzy Owens, and Yandel Barron Toledo. We appreciate their continued leadership and dedication to elevating student voice across Federal Way Public Schools. At this time, each of our scholar representative who is here will share a few words about his hopes and dreams for the school year.
First of all, I'd like to say I just hope this is going to be a wonderful year for all of us. Everyone who attends school, has gone to school, hopefully everyone. Um, I hope to be able to represent everyone fairly and justly. Everyone should have a voice.
Next item on the agenda is legislative update. Director Phillips.
You. No legislative update today. I will just say that WASDA is in the process of planning their annual legislative assembly. Last year, we actually had it in SeaTac, which was kind of nice. And I believe they're going to be doing it again on this side of town. So you guys will see an invite to the legislative assembly probably in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Phillips. Next item on the agenda is the enrollment update. Dr. Pfeiffer.
Thank you, Board President Jones. Board team, as you know, our budget is built on the number of students enrolled and attending our schools annually, and that official count is always taken on October 1. So this evening, I've asked the team to provide an update regarding the 25-26 enrollment, and I'm going to ask Rob Bryant, our Chief Finance Officer, to provide this update to you on my behalf. Rob.
Good evening, Board President Dr. Jones, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Pfeiffer. Tonight, I'm pleased to provide an update on student enrollment. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to provide an update as to the start of the school year's enrollment. The topics that we will cover tonight will include a discussion of enrollment basics, an overview of our current enrollment, a comparison to the previous year's start of year enrollment, some of our historical enrollment trends, and then we'll look ahead to future steps in our process. Enrollment directly affects staffing levels, and the work of appropriately staffing our schools is tied directly to our strategic plan and the 4 pillars, particularly Pillar 3, effective, caring, culturally competent teachers, leaders, and staff, which is the pillar that lays the foundation for our work in investing in people. So why is enrollment reporting important? Enrollment is vital to the financial health, resource availability, and overall effectiveness of a school district in fulfilling its mission to educate and support our students. It also helps in determining how many teachers and other support staff are needed, as well as determining the resources that are needed for our classroom spaces and our materials. Reviewing enrollment data also helps identify trends and make informed decisions for long-term planning, such as school construction and any potential future boundary adjustments. So as a reminder, enrollment can have different meanings. Headcount enrollment refers to the count of individual students. Each student is considered a count of 1, whether full-time or part-time. Headcount is inclusive of full-time running start and open doors, and it is used to determine our staffing allocations. And in the funding model, it is used to determine special education funding as well as multilingual program funding. Next, full-time equivalent is a measurement of a student's enrollment. A 1.0 FTE, or full-time equivalent student, attends class for 1,665 minutes each week. An FTE is also reported on a monthly basis. And then last, our average annual full-time equivalent represents the average number of full-time equivalent scholars over the course of the school year, average from September through June. It's also the basis for our funding. Tonight's focus is primarily geared towards headcount enrollment. Looking at some other important facts about enrollment, enrollment is taken and reported to OSPI on a monthly basis. It's taken the 4th school day of September and then the first school day, or the first day of each month, October through June. State apportionment payments for September through December are based on a reported budgeted AAFTE. And then beginning in January, our payments are based on a reported actual year-to-date average enrollments. Taking a look at our October 1 headcount enrollment by grade band, as you can see in this table, We have included historical October 1, 2024 headcount numbers, our projected October 2025 headcount, and then the preliminary actual October 1, 25 headcount. And then the final column on the table shows the actual October 1, 25 counts as compared to what we projected. Some important things to take notice of include that overall, the 21,453 students that were reported for this October 1st is up 68 students above what we projected. While that October 25 numbers are down slightly from last October, it should be noted that we projected for some decline based on a larger outgoing 12th grade class as compared to a smaller incoming kindergarten class. And then please recall that we use headcount as a means for staffing. Our 9-day count staffing committee meets at the start of the school year to evaluate enrollment and staffing needs. The committee reviews individual class sizes as well as our K-3 compliance and our secondary seat counts. And then based on the reported enrollment, the staffing team recommends adjustments in staffing to either account for larger classes or also to identify where class counts don't require as much resource as originally projected. This year, we had a number of staffing adjustments that were made for changes in enrollment. This slide shows a 10-year look at the district's historical October 1 headcount enrollment. The final two columns show our projected or budgeted October 1 enrollment and then our preliminary October 1 actual enrollment counts. Looking at the overall trends on the chart, it reflects the decline in enrollment following COVID and then followed by the gradual increasing trend since the 21-22 school year. And then looking ahead to next steps, we know that enrollment shapes everything that we do, from budget stability to scholar opportunity. And while it is great news that our October headcount came in slightly higher than our projections, we also know that we need to continue to monitor, adjust, and plan proactively. This work includes focusing on our overall enrollment trends, closely monitoring birth rates, tracking new housing developments, affordability and mobility trends, and lastly, while we did hit our October headcount enrollments, it is still imperative that we monitor our average annual full-time equivalent enrollment to that for which we budgeted. That is the average over the course of the entire school year, and that is the basis for what we are funded off of. And that concludes the presentation. Are there any questions?
So I know it's early and you probably haven't had a chance to totally evaluate it and make adjustments and everything, but do you speculate that you may have to hire an additional teacher or two to accommodate that 60+ extra students?
No, we did not need to do that. We actually made internal adjustments through the involuntary transfer process, and we work in partnership with our union partners.
Thank you for that presentation. Next item on the agenda is the EP&O levy presentation. Dr. Pfeiffer.
So thank you, Board President Jones and Board Team. As you know, our EP&O levy is up for renewal and is expiring in December of 2026. I want to first begin by thanking our voters who have consistently supported the levy since 1980. You have been spending a great deal of time studying the budget landscape and understanding what the levy actually pays for, as well as exploring the amount of the levy. Our most recent work study was spent on going deeper into each of these topics, and this evening we'll provide another presentation focusing on those same areas. So again, this information is not new, but we continue to want to strengthen our understanding of EP&O and actually the benefits of EP&O and how it fills that gap between what the state provides us and what it actually takes to run schools. So I'm going to hand it over to our Chief Finance Officer, Rob, and right in back in the shadows there is our Executive Director of Business Services, Jerry Carlson, who helps work in partnership with him. Rob?
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Pfeiffer, and good evening again. Tonight, I am pleased to provide an update on the planning for the renewal of the district's educational programs and operations, or EP&O levy. In this presentation, I will provide a brief review of our EP&O levy, and we'll cover some of the information that has been previously shared with the board. We'll take a look at why the levy is so critical and what steps that the renewal process includes, and then we'll present some options for consideration. And just in essence, it boils down to ensuring financial stability for our district, keeping our schools strong and making sure that we can continue to provide stable day-to-day operations and staffing to support program services and our experiences for our students. So what do we know? So we know that our current levy expires at the end of 2026, and that requires our focus to now shift to the renewal of that levy. We also know that our levy dollars fund critical staffing, services, and programs that are not covered by the state. We also know that we are legislatively bound to a levy lid or levy authority, and that defines how much the district is able to levy. Importantly, while per pupil funding formulas, which are used for many of the King County school districts, were increased in the last legislative session, Federal Way Public Schools, which follows the tax rate formula, remains legislatively capped at $2.50 per $1,000 of assessed value. Unlike the districts which fall into the per pupil formula, the tax rate formula was not increased by the legislature. And this causes further inequities between Federal Way Public Schools and nearly every other King County school district. This gap and the undercollection shows up in our total budget. For Federal Way Public Schools, levy dollars make up about 10% of total resources. This is compared to about 15% on average for King County districts and 13% on average for districts statewide. Even a few percentage points translates into millions of dollars in staff programs and services that our students deserve. We cannot sustain being at the lowest end of this comparison and underutilizing our levy authority at the current 68% of our full levy authority. Despite having fewer levy resources than most of our peers, these dollars are essential. They fund nurses, counselors, safety officers, and family liaisons. In addition, we have school custodians, office and classroom support positions, and other staff who ensure that our students are supported that are funded by the levy. They cover programs that the state does not fully fund. The levy covers programs that the state does not fully fund, like special education, advanced coursework, CTE, and college and career readiness. They allow us to maintain strong teaching and learning through staffing, professional development, and curriculum. And without these levy funding, the core supports are at risk. The levy also funds opportunities that bring our schools to life. Music, arts, athletics, and activities are all directly funded by our EP&O levy. And it also supports essential operations like transportation, custodial services, and maintenance, the things that families and students depend on every day, but that the state does not cover in full. While you have heard that EP&O levies used to be known as enrichment levies, this is misleading, as enrichment is no longer the primary purpose of the levy. In short, local levy dollars are what closes the gaps left by the lack of state funding. They are the bridge between what is funded and what our schools and students truly need. For Federal Way Public Schools, our levy funds are used for our teaching and learning in such ways as funding certificated positions for our teachers, our supports for our career and technical and college and career readiness, nurses, counselors, and our classified teaching assistant positions, as well as school custodians. The levy also funds special education, transportation, athletics and activities, and security. As an example, for security, the state model funds 4 security officers, and we have more than 20. As we think about the steps that are required for the levy to be approved, there is a clear process that is laid out for bringing a levy proposition to the voters for approval. This includes setting the amounts, rates, and obtaining OSBI levy expenditure plan approval, the board adoption of the election resolution, the filing of that resolution with the county, and finally passing the proposition onto our community of voters who will vote on the levy on February 10th. And remember, in this case, it really is a renewal of an expiring levy. And the great news is that our Federal Way Public School voters have consistently supported our renewal levies since 1980. The immediate task that is before us is to determine the right balance in amounts and rates to ensure sustainability, both financially, but also in the programs and services that we are providing. A district can run an EP&O levy for up to 4 years. Federal Way Public Schools has chosen the 4-year renewal option as it offers greater financial stability and predictability. There is also synergy in numbers, as most King County school districts file at the same time, generally in February, and on the same 4-year cycle, and which also, as a side note, helps keep down the cost of elections. This slide reflects an example of a calculation showing various components that go into calculating rates and amounts. The really important thing to point out here is the common misconception that occurs with our voting community. Voters often think that their taxes will automatically rise or fall with changes in their own property values, but that's not how it works. Voters actually approve a fixed dollar amount with a corresponding estimated tax rate. Districts then levy and collect that flat dollar amount that is approved by the voters. The actual tax rate is then derived by the actual tax base of the community. Thinking about this a little bit further, we can use the bucket analogy. Voters approve the size of the bucket, which has a set dollar amount that the district can collect. Property values are like the size of the hose. If home values go up, the hose fills the bucket up faster. So the tax rate per home goes down. If the home values go down, the hose runs slower, so the tax rate per home goes up. No matter what, though, the district can only fill the bucket up to the approved level, not more and not less. And another thing to note is we know that there has been quite a bit of new construction for homes and industries in Federal Way. Please recall from previous presentations that our community has experienced over $1 billion in new construction over the last 5 years within our district boundaries. We'll now shift gears and begin looking at scenarios for the levy amounts and the estimated tax rates. Before we get into the scenarios, you've seen this slide before, and it shows a history of our property values over time. The last column, while still not final, has been updated for recent information received from the county assessor's office. Remember that our assessed valuations determine tax rates. When considering estimates for future years' assessed valuation, some things that we consider are historical growth rates, along with any local, regional, and national economic conditions that might impact future growth. We are estimating a 5% growth rate in our out years to determine our estimated tax rates. As mentioned previously, we would expect that growth rate to be conservative when considering our historical growth rates, the new light rail, and the continued new construction in the district. This slide shows a side-by-side summary comparison of the scenarios for the renewal of our EP&O levy that we covered in depth with the board at last week's board work study. For scenario A, this would drive approximately $34 million of new funding over a 4-year period, or an average of $8.5 million per year. For a $500,000 home value, this would be an estimated additional cost of $31 per month, with an estimated tax rate of $2.50. Using this scenario, this would help minimize our budget cuts and staff reductions and have the greatest fund balance stability. For scenario B, this would drive approximately $29.3 million of new funding over a 4-year period, an average of $7.3 million per year. And on a home valued at $500,000, this would be an additional cost of $25 per month, with an estimated tax rate of $2.35. This scenario is more moderate than scenario A, but it also leaves the district with a greater chance of needing budget cuts. And for scenario C, this would drive approximately $24.5 million of new funds over the 4-year window, or $6.1 million per year. And on a home valued at $500,000, this will be an additional cost of $18 per month. This is the most conservative of the 3 scenarios and would also mean continued cuts and staff reductions. So why increase the EP&O levy amount? Federal Way Public Schools is committed to ensuring every scholar has the essential staff, programs, and resources needed to be successful. We know that funding provided by the state does not cover the cost to operate a school district. Because of this, the local funding provided by the EP&O levy is critical. In addition to helping provide the resources needed to bridge the funding gaps, without that funding, the district would continue to face difficult decisions, including additional cuts, to staff, programs, and services. As we compare ourselves with other school districts, we have consistently done more with less, but it is no longer sustainable. Costs have risen year after year, needs continue to rise, and the state continues to underfund. We've drawn down our fund balance reserves, continue to see these increased costs. We have less funding than our neighboring school districts due to regionalization disparities and now disparities in local levy and LEA funding. And we have also endured 3 years of budget reductions, including a delay to our curriculum investments. And this year we are transferring $5 million of interest earnings from our capital projects fund in order to support our curriculum needs. Continuing down this path is simply not sustainable. As we think about next steps, on this slide, you'll see the formal board meetings, presentations, and official election-related dates. This starts on October 28th with a board presentation and the board's first reading of the resolution for the EPNO replacement levy. Prior to the October 28th meeting, we will be working closely with the board to work on finalizing levy amounts and estimated rates. The second reading of the resolution, along with another board presentation, will occur on November 18th. And the resolution filing date to get the resolution to the county is on December 12th. All of this leads to the February special election, which occurs on February 10th. Thank you. And are there any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, can we go back to page 7? Unclose the gap in funding. That 52% of high quality teaching and learning. Can you define that a little bit more?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So basically that accounts for expenditures that fall into our teaching and learning area, which is inclusive of helping fund our teachers. It provides supports for our career and technical education, as well as our college and career readiness. It also funds nurses, counselors, and our classified teaching assistants, and also some of our school custodians that support our teaching and learning.
Family liaisons? Yes, our family liaisons are funded out of that 52%.
That's right.
Yeah, college and career readiness as well.
I think you covered that on page 5.
Okay.
Yes, it's also on page 5.
Okay. So that, all right. And then I had one more. It is on page 13, but I can't quite recall off the top of my head. Yeah, that is just such a dramatic upswing of property values. You had listed off several things like light rail was impacting that increase, and you had some other things that you were listing off, and I'd kind of like to know what they were. Did you have them off the top of your head?
Sure. So essentially this accounts for the $1 billion of new construction that, that we've spoken about in the past that has come into school district boundaries. So it accounts for a lot of industrial growth, housing growth, and that sort of thing that we've experienced. I do anticipate we will continue to see additional growth from the light rail, as well as some of these new housing developments that are basically on pace to be done in the next several years.
And why that's important, Director Murphy, is because 4 years ago, when we went out for our renewal levy in 2022, since that point, we've grown in a $1 billion increase to the overall tax base. And I think that's an important thing to remember. We also, it will affect then not only the tax rate itself, because it's being spread. We have more people that can share the pie. That's an easy way to say it.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much for that presentation. Yeah, thank you. A lot of work goes into these, we know. Next item on the agenda is the resolution 2025-11, cancellation of warrants. And I'll read the resolution. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Federal Way Public School District Number 210 approving the cancellation of warrants over a year old per the attached list in accordance with RCW 39.56.040. Whereas the identified warrants were issued over a year ago and are listed as outstanding on the records of the King County Finance Director, and whereas RCW 39.56.040 requires that warrants issued and not presented for redemption within 1 year of the date of their issue, stale dated warrants, be canceled by passage of a resolution of the Board of Directors. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors by this resolution approves the cancellation of the identified warrants adopted by the Board of Directors of the Federal Way School District Number 210, King County, Washington, in a regular meeting thereof held on the 14th day of October, 2025. I say at this time, we'll entertain a motion.
I move the Board of Ed approve resolution 2025-11, cancellation of warrants as submitted.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is superintendent comments. Dr. Pfeiffer.
Well, thank you very much. Last week was Discover You Week. It ran from October 6th through the 10th. And what that's all about is really having students in Federal Way Public Schools explore college and career, right? So thinking about not only college, but what comes after college or going into the trades. So career exploration. And each day featured a different theme. And it was really a joy just seeing all of our students make connections to the possible jobs, the things that they want to become, their dreams. And today I got to take part in their career day, which usually would happen last week, but it was today at Twin Lake Elementary. And so I got to talk about my career as a superintendent. Now, for many 5-year-olds through 12-year-olds, that's a snooze fest. So this year I leveled up, as they like to say, and I tapped back into being a former science teacher. So I lined up microscopes and we had slides for kids to look at, and the kids were standing in line. And then we just added in the part about the superintendent. They were really excited about science and being a science teacher too. So a shout out to all of our former science teachers. And I hope I recruited some kids into being a teacher this afternoon. So thank you, Twin Lakes, for inviting me. October 16th, that's this Thursday, we have our first Family Academy. You know, we host those, 5 of them every single year. And this year's is Innovate, Collaborate, Educate, Learning Beyond the Classroom for Future Ready Schools. And it's about getting plugged into their students' learning, understanding assessments and writing and college planning and attendance and digital citizenship. We want to invite everybody to join. It starts at 6 p.m. and goes till 7:30, and it's right at Olympic View K8. And you can learn more about it on our website. And then on the 21st, I get to host my first Scholar Advisory of the Year, meeting my 70-ish young people that are all secondary students. We get to learn everything about their first couple of months of school. We'll do some feedback sessions. They get to contribute in ideas, just how to improve the overall school and scholar experience. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about the new cell phone policy I anticipate, but they'll also have some great ideas on to make sure that everybody's getting on board related to that. And then next Wednesday, we have our Life After High School College and Career Fair. We host that every October. So we have universities, we have employers, we have the military, we have the trades. Families can explore. It's from Thomas Jefferson High School from 6 to 8 p.m. And it is never really too early to start planning for the future. So it's open to everyone, even if you have children in elementary school. So welcome everybody out. And then on October 23rd, we host our first early learning gathering at the Truman Early Learning Center. We will host our preschool, our early learning educators, our caregivers in our community. They can join by Zoom. And it really is just a fantastic event where we're getting together and we're collaborating. And lastly, in addition to it being National Hispanic Heritage Month, National Disability Awareness Month, National School Lunch Week is coming up. And of course, this month is National Principals Month. And so we want to thank our principals for their leadership in school improvement, caring for our students, and just being tremendous partners in the work. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pfeiffer. Next item on the agenda is school board comments, beginning with Director Morris.
Thank you, Principal Lopez, for the welcome. And thanks to the Tigers that gave their presentations today. It was very heartfelt. I could tell you that I could see the pride in the parents as they were delivering their statements. Their poetry is palpable. I also want to welcome our scholar representatives back to the dais. You were missed. We look forward to your insights as we move on. And then thanks to Rob and Jerry, I think we pretty much memorized this EP&O. Maybe one of us should make the presentation next time. But it's always a pleasure, seeing good work, come to the fore. We've got our work cut out for us. It's not going to be an easy sell. But I will say that even though there are some stark differences in, some of our perspectives on policy, I, for one, never want to see our students or scholars starved of the opportunities that a failure of this levy would present, given the austerity of the current environment. There are going to be some tough decisions coming. The legislature cannot keep spending the way they are. They cannot keep taxing the way they are. And so it is a gut check, and hopefully, we can enlighten those in our own district to give and help to make up for the shortfall that we're definitely poised for if we don't act. So I thank you.
Thank you, Director Morris. Director Phillips? Director Davis, Vice President Davis.
I don't have anything to add for the sake of repeating what he just said. So thanks to everyone for the presentation.
Thank you. Director Murphy.
It's new in the year and I don't have a lot to report on, but I do want to speak up and ensure and maybe clarify that there was a misunderstanding, and some members of the community seem to think that on 7/22, the board sought to ban the pride flag. That was not the intention. As the proposal that was presented said, the intention of this policy is to honor our nation's 1776 founding 250 years ago. The motion was presented from a veteran in the community who wanted to have students feel united under the one flag with liberty and justice for all, rather than individual flags and getting the battle of the flags going in the schools. Because if you have one flag, ideological or political, you have to allow others. And so the goal was to be united in one as Americans, and we are so blessed to be in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Murphy. I also like to thank Principal Lopez for inviting us and hosting us here at Brigadoon. Was an amazing presentation by those young scholars. I really appreciate that you're still working on attendance, which is so important with rewards and celebrations. I really like the idea of the random celebrations. Those kids really like that kind of surprise. I was interested to hear about the regulation stations and the buddy classrooms. That seems like it's a really good opportunity for bringing students together and teaching them how to understand and regulate themselves and regulate their behavior and not act out in the ways that we know can be disruptive. I was impressed by the 86% proficiency in the WIDA data, the young people who are accomplishing great things in 2 languages, and that the families are enjoying math night and multicultural night, bringing the families together, because right now we need lots of community, and that's really heartening to hear. I was impressed that you have a scholar advisory here with kindergartners. I would love to hear what the kindergartners and first graders have to say in terms of the scholar advisory. I'm sure it is very enlightening. But K through 5th grade scholar advisory would be a lot of fun to sit in on. And finally, once again, the I Am poems were so moving. These young people are poet laureates, and ready to stand up in front of a group of strangers and read a poem is not something that everyone can do. And these are 5th graders who did that. And it's just very impressive. And I really appreciated hearing from them. And that's all I have to say. And do we have any more? Oh, okay. And with that, we are adjourned.